What's good, all my trader and investor homies? It's your boy Kevin. This is Touchdown Trades, home of your trading BFF and your stock market bestie. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the big green monster. That's right. We're going to be talking about all things Hyliion stock. They reported third quarter earnings. So we're going to go through the earnings report and do a full in-depth analysis on the Q3 earnings release. Also, we're going to talk about some news, some updates, and I'm going to provide my thesis on Hyliion going forward, where I think it's headed from a company perspective and from a stock perspective. It's been an ugly journey over the last 3 or so months for Hyliion. We had the pre-merger run-up, and then after the merger, we just had a drop. We jumped off a cliff. It was like, you know, the cliff diving dudes who can jump off a cliff 50 feet up and just splash right in the water. Well, that's what Hyliion did after the merger. It's been ugly. It's been an ugly 3 months, but things are looking up, and we're going to be doing an in-depth analysis. If you're new to the channel, at Touchdown Trades, we drop a video every single day going over the hottest stocks in the market. We do market analysis, stock-specific analysis. So consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you get alerted every time we post a video. Also, every single video I ask for a teeny-weeny favor. That is to like the button. It's not a big favor. Just take your 2 fingers, give the like button, the old Touchdown Trades, snake eye jab in the eyes, you twist it around, and then when it turns blue, you know you've done it. All right, guys, so let's jump into this Hyliion stock analysis. Let's break it down. All right, so I got a 1-year, 1-day chart pulled up, and let's do a little analysis preceding today's earnings report. Let's go over the last few months and talk about what's happened and why I think it's happened. Okay, so we had this run up, huge run up from $20 per share all the way up towards $60 a share. This was caused by the pre-merger FOMO, the pre-merger hype, people buying all the way up, short sellers getting squeezed out of their position, and it just created a parabolic 300% run up in just a matter of a month or so. One of the most violent, craziest run-ups I have ever seen. That is not normal, okay? A move of 300% for a stock that isn't a penny stock in just a month is not normal. So after the merger, you had a lot of new investors, new traders up in this area buying. They were looking for that post-merger breakout, and it never came. And instead of respecting their stops and getting out, having a plan and respecting that plan, new traders and investors bag held all the way down, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. I hate to see that happen, but it did happen. So here we are today trading at $23.61 per share. It hasn't done much. There hasn't been much volatility post earnings release. When we first opened up on the day, we were down about 5%. We've reclaimed most of that drop, but it just hasn't been that big of an earnings report from a stock price action perspective, but there was some good nuggets in the earnings report that we'll go over. Last Hyliion video that I did, I spoke about this is going to be a long journey for Hyliion. This stock is not going to get back up to $60 a share in just a month, not even 2 months, probably not even in the next 12 months. It's going to be a long journey because they have to get that production down. They have to get the manufacturing process underway before they can start selling, fulfilling orders, and getting their revenue higher. Guys, before we go over the earnings report, I got to plug Webull real quick. My broker of choice has partnered with the channel. They're offering not 1, not 2, but 3 free stocks if you sign up with Webull after the video using my link in the description and deposit $100 or more. You'll get 3 free stocks valued up to $1,600. The best broker out there is offering the best deal right now, so don't miss out on it. Take advantage of this deal. Link in the description. Check it out after the video. All right, so let's go over the Q3 earnings report. I said in the last video that there's 3 things that could send Hyliion stock higher and retest those all-time highs. Aspect number one that I mentioned was earnings, and we had an earnings report today, but I think what I was referring to was earnings. Once we get revenue going, I think we're gonna have some earnings beats. That's gonna help drive the stock higher. I mentioned number two was news. If they come out with some big partnerships, some big deals that they're inking, then we could see the stock move higher, or they can mention pre-orders and a PR, something like that could send the stock way up. And number three is a short squeeze. I think we're primed as short sellers pile on after we've seen a huge drop. They could get caught, they could get trapped, and that could send the stock higher. So let's break down this earnings report real quick, and then towards the end of the video, I'll talk about where I think Hyliion stock is headed in the next couple of months. We got the key business highlights. In the last quarter, they completed the strategic combination of Hyliion and Tortoise Acquisition Corp. This is what a lot of traders and investors were buying on. They were buying this hype, they were buying this news, trying to get invested before the merger, thinking that there was going to get a post-merger run-up. And that's just not the way investing works. That's just not the way the stock market works. Everybody knew the merger had already been approved. You think the big money, the big market makers, the big hedge funds, institutional traders are going to allow schmucks like me to just buy in right after the merger's approved and make a quick 30-40%? No, they trapped the retail traders. When you make an investment, you have to be aware that people are trying, the big smart money is trying to trap and take advantage of retail investors. So if you see a bunch of retail investors flocking to a stock and buying all in at one time, that's probably a stock you want to stay away from until all the retail investors are flushed out of that stock. So they installed 8 hybrid units in the third quarter of 2020 for 4 fleet-based customers. That's not what we want to hear, right? They only installed 8 units. No good. As my friend Borat would like to say, that's no good. No good. And this is no good. But we got to give it time. Like I said in the previous videos, this is not going to happen overnight. I do think Hyliion is positioned to take advantage of a gap where we're going to be switching from diesel to electric. And there's going to be a 10-year gap where there needs to be something in the middle, and I believe Hyliion is that something in the middle, but they need to get the manufacturing production line on point before they start spitting out 1,000 units a quarter. So 8 units installed in quarter 3 for 2020. Not great, but hopefully next quarter it's up to 50 and then it just climbs from there. They signed an agreement with FEV North America to accelerate commercialization of the Hypertruck ERX. This is good news. We want to see acceleration of this thing getting to production, getting to manufacturing. So that's what I like to see. Thomas Healy spoke, the executive commentary. He said, with ample resources from our strategic combination, Hyliion is well capitalized and primed. Capitalized is the key word there, meaning they're going to have enough money on hand to get this Hypertruck ERX to market, to get it to manufacturing, and get it sold to these customers, primed to disrupt the powertrain market. That's why we are all in love with Hyliion. The disruption, the intuitive design, the business model, the bridging the gap from diesel to electric. That's disruption. That is the definition of disruption. You have Hyliion coming in, disrupting the diesel market, bridging the gap to total electric. But like I've said 1,000 times, these truckers, they're not ready for total electric. So they may be willing to drive a hybrid powertrain truck, slap one on their existing fleet. And once that happens, Hyliion has a customer that 10, 15 years down the road, when they are ready for electric Class 8 semi, then Hyliion can contact them and say, hey, it's time to jump to all electric, total EV. But there's states like California, New York, that are requiring these Class 8 semi trucks to become less carbon efficient, lower their footprint. And I think Hyliion is that solution, and they're going to start exploding their sales numbers and their revenue numbers are going to be through the roof. And earnings reports, not next year, but the year after that, they're going to be crushing revenue expectations, in my opinion. So they have a section in the report titled Business Impact on Because of the Rhinoceros Rex. We saw in Workhorse's earnings, Q3 earnings, Workhorse said that over almost 40% of their employees were affected, had to miss time because of the Rona. So maybe we're seeing only 8 units sold. Maybe the Rona had an effect on Hyliion, but they say it's not going to delay any of its long-term objectives, which is really nice to hear. We also can see the numbers down here, and to be honest, the numbers weren't sexy, right? They didn't have any sales, so I'm not even paying attention to the numbers. All I care about is them getting this hybrid powertrain to the production line, start getting it manufactured, and start getting that customer base on point. They need to get it manufactured ASAP, start getting that revenue up, and I think we're going to see that revenue climb steadily, beat expectations. I think they're going to garner more attention, more customers than people are expecting. That's why I'm long-term invested in Hyliion. So there hasn't been a lot of news recently regarding Hyliion. There hasn't been a lot of updates. I don't want to hear about small partnerships or small 5-order sales. All I care about regarding Hyliion right now is getting manufacturing down. I want the manufacturing to get online as soon as possible. That's all I care about as an investor. That's all I care about right now. And Thomas Healy sounded very optimistic. I am a believer in Thomas Healy. I'm a believer in Hyliion, and I think the future is very bright for this company. I think it's kind of going under the radar. Sure, when we had this huge run up to $60, it wasn't under the radar, but people are sour on this stock. And once retail investors and traders get soured on a stock, they don't want to touch it anymore because it's dropped, given up more than 50% of the initial move. That's when the real move starts to happen. And I think we're going to see this thing start to climb and regain some of that loss that we've been seeing over the last couple of months. There hasn't been any news, there hasn't been any updates really, but I think Thomas Healy sounded very optimistic in the earnings, and I don't think we're going to have any big revenue beats next earnings report or the earnings report after that. As Hyliion investors, we are invested for the long-term outlook of this thing, where I'm not expecting to see any crazy things happen in the next few months. I'm waiting until late 2023, and I want to see these Hypertruck ERXs flying out the door and them start to make some sales. I'm really optimistic regarding Hyliion. I think we start to reclaim some of these key levels. I think we hold this $15 area. I think this is going to be the low for a long time, for years and years, maybe all-time low right there. And we start to reclaim, we consolidate, we break out, consolidate, break out, consolidate, break out. But it's not going to happen overnight. We're not getting back to $60 within the end of the year, in my opinion. Maybe not even within 2021, but I personally don't care. Any drop we have, I add, because I know this is a $100 stock within the next 3-4 years. In my opinion, this is a $100 stock in the next 3 years. That's right, you heard it here. I'm making a bold statement by calling Hyliion a $100 stock. I know a lot of people, they're down on Hyliion, but I'm as high on Hyliion stock as I have ever been. I love this company, and I'm in this thing for the long haul. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. If you want to check out the audio for the earnings release, you can go to Hyliion, go to the Investors Relations page, and they've posted the audio so you can check out, hear what Thomas Healy had to say. Also, don't forget to check out Webull. 3 free stocks when you deposit $100 using the link in the description. And if you're not yet a subscriber, what are you waiting on, homies? Subscribe, hit that bell. All right, guys, until next time, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out!